Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/Tales from Retail. And thanks so much to everyone who subscribed to the channel and put in a notation so you don't miss new videos every day. Our first story for today is about a lady who wanted her shoes before she made the payment. Can't you just buy it for me? Hello, TFR. I come bearing a tale that is one of the most ridiculous customer encounters I've ever had in my almost 17 years of retail experience. So buckle up, kids. It's gonna be a wild ride. The characters are me, assistant manager/slave, SW, senile woman. There's really no other explanation. Relevant to the story, we're unable to take orders over the phone. Credit cards must be physically swiped, inserted at the register, and we have absolutely no way around this. The setting: a shoe store. Just a few days ago. I just clocked in for my closing shift. The phone rings. Me. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling Shoe Store. How can I help you? SW. Oh, hi. I was in your store earlier today looking at a pair of shoes, and I'm just kicking myself for not buying them. I'd like for you to ship them to me. Me. Unfortunately, we're unable to take orders over the phone, but I'd be glad to put them on hold for you. But I live all the way in same state which my store is located, and I can't make the trip all the way out there again. Well, I'm sorry about that, but I have no way of taking payment over the phone. Can I order them online? Possibly. Which shoe were you looking at? I don't know. A little back and forth ensues, with her attempting to explain what the shoe looked like and where it was located in the store. I'm somehow able to find it. It's a single pair of sandals from last year that are super mega clearance because, well, they're old. Unfortunately, you won't find these on our website. They're from last year. Well, what am I supposed to do? Go back in time and buy them when you were here? I'm not sure, ma'am. Oh, you can ship them to me, and when I get them, I'll mail you a check. Sorry, ma'am, I can't send out merchandise that's not been paid for. She's getting increasingly frustrated now. Is there anyone else there I could talk to? A manager? Me, trying to suppress laughter as my manager is staring at me, shaking his head, hearing my side of the conversation. Nope, I'm the only manager here right now. Well then, can you buy it for me and I'll mail you a check? Excuse me? They're not even $20. You pay for it and I'll send you a personal check. I'm good for it. I'm not going to do that. Well, is there anyone else there who would? No, ma'am. No one here is going to buy your shoes for you. Staring from my manager intensifies, and we both exchange the, I can't wait to talk about this one look. Well, I mean, this is ridiculous. All I want is those shoes, and no one will help me. So there's nothing you can do? No, ma'am. I'm afraid there isn't. Well then, thanks a lot. Click. I burst out laughing and regale my manager with the full conversation. A nearby customer overhears and also starts laughing. I spend most of my remaining shift hiding in the back room. I feel like I earned it. Or, since you aren't buying right away, what if someone else buys the pair before the check gets to you? Funny, isn't it? And our second story. The Twisted Return, or how your return is more important than me not blowing up. As requested, here's a life or death tale about a printer return. There will be a good bit of setup before the actual retail part, but it's there. Normal day, selling paper. I went out to get some fried chicken for lunch, came back and saw my first tornado in the distance. I was freaked, but my boss said we were fine. After some pictures, I went into the windowless break room to eat my food. My parents, who live about 5 miles away, called to tell me the tornado was closer to me than them and headed right for my shopping center, which is essentially an outdoor mall. I tell my boss, he's still sure we're fine. Spoiler, we weren't fine. If we were, I wouldn't have this story. Anyway, I'm enjoying my lunch and all I can hear is hail pummeling the sheet metal above me. Then my boss is screaming into our radios that everyone needs to take shelter in the bathrooms. Poke my head out, he's sliding over a desk, debris falling from the ceiling, and the tornado knocking on the door. This tornado's pretty bad. Trees through cars flipped over, HVAC units torn from roofs and strewn across the streets. No one but us saw the tornado coming because we're the only ones facing that direction. Luckily, the worst injuries seemed to be from a family who came running into our store while we were sheltering. They'd been driving, windows closed, when the tornado hit them. Windows shattered and all 4 of them were pretty cut up. Just small cuts, though. So we went to evaluate our store. And other than the doors being a little messed up, and a lot of promotional material thrown all over, the worst we had was a leaky roof. We started using trash bags to cover the computers and shelves full of envelopes and pallets of paper so they didn't get ruined. That's when we smelled gas. Our manager rounded up everyone to evacuate until the fire department could get to us. As I'm trying to leave through the front doors, a man walks up with his printer. I can tell this printer is old at a glance. Besides the dust, I recognize the model. He has a warranty card and tells me he wants to do a warranty return. First, we don't handle those. You call the number, they send you a gift card, and you have to trash the printer. Second, there's a gas leak, and we could die at any second. Or maybe I was being dramatic. Cut me some slack. I was freaked. Anyway, this guy is not taking no for an answer, so I take his printer, practically throw it behind the register, and make for the doors. He tried to follow me inside, yelling about my attitude, and I got in his face, "We just got hit by a tornado! There's a gas leak! We don't have time for this bullcrap!" I grabbed him by the shoulder, spun him around, and gave him a friendly push out the door. My manager laughed about it later before he sent me home early with the stipulation I take his daughter's insulin to his house since it was on my way. I don't know whatever happened to that man, but his printer sat there for weeks before it just disappeared. Sometimes people don't think with their heads at all. And our next story. I'm just looking. I've been out of the retail game for a few years, but sometimes the stories come back to haunt me. Here's one from when I was a wee lad. Sorry for the formatting, I'm on mobile and it's late. So, I used to work in a store that sold office supplies, one of the national chains. Wasn't a terrible job, but there was one part that I really hated. Ad set. You see, they could never figure out how to do the weekly ad set. Thousands of little price tags to pull and thousands more to put out. At the time, we did it all on Saturday nights, which meant when you closed on Saturday, you were there hours past closing, putting on tags in the dark. Usually, the manager would turn off the lights and lock the doors at close, but you could still push open the outer door, and then you'd be stuck in the vestibule. For some reason, our manager forgot to lock one of the inner doors this night. So it's about 3 hours after close, lights all off, music blaring, we're chugging along. I'm in staplers, our manager's in office, and Jimmy's in printers. Quick description time. Jimmy and I are both tall, over 6 feet. Jimmy looks like that stick bug from Not Ants. I'm a heavy bearded guy even in my teens. I can be intimidating, but I am rather timid. Our manager was a short lady. Really short. Not just shorter than me short. So I'm chugging along. That's when Jimmy comes over the radio. Apparently some guy walked past him into the laptops. He's freaking out. The guy won't leave. I wander closer and I hear this. Jimmy. Sir, we're closed. Oblivious dude. It's okay, I'm just looking. Jimmy. You can't look, we're closed. We open at X a.m. tomorrow. It's okay, I'm just looking. This went on for a few minutes before the manager made it out. Rinse and repeat. So they called me over. At this point, he's been in here for 10 minutes or so. I'm getting pretty annoyed at his broken record response. Sir, you need to leave. It's okay, I'm just looking. A few more circles, and I'm done. I pull myself up to my full height, puff out my chest, and get in his face. Sir, we closed 3 hours ago. The lights are off. What makes you think it's okay to be here? You need to leave now. We open tomorrow morning. It's okay, I'm just looking. Get out of here before we call the police. It's okay. This is when he sees my face. I'm mad, and it shows. I want to talk to your manager. You're being rude to a customer. You already talked to her. She told you to leave. So leave. He eventually takes the subtle hint and leaves. And soon after, we do too. I don't know if he ever came back to look. A lot of people just don't listen when an employee speaks to them. He probably thought employees wanted to help him. And our next story. DVD-licious. I've worked retail for the better part of 4 years now, with the exception of my brief photojournalist role at my local newspaper. Long story short, don't work for your friends. Anyway, I've worked for electronics store since 2012, minus 8 months. I've seen a few different things in my time in retail. Lady pooped, let it drop out of her jeans onto the floor. Couple tried to use fraudulent checks. Guy tried to sell video game for kids' medicine. Drunk guy passed out on a printer. But this one was the most odd. So there was a family that would frequent my store. Man, wife, and son. I'd heard around the water cooler that their son was special. Had a helmet and everything. whatever, that's fine. I'm happy to work for a company that doesn't fret over these things. Whenever they would come in, though, the folks I worked with grimaced. I thought it was strange. They weren't wealthy people, but they never caused problems. I had a few brief interactions with them, and they seemed pretty nice. But then, as a lowly part-time worker who stayed out of the way, I noticed their child. The parents really didn't watch him. I'm sure that at home they cared for him like any parent would. In our store, however, they kind of let him do whatever. He'd grab 4 or 5 DVDs, sit them down, leaning towards him, and lay down on his stomach in front of them. He licked them. He licked the DVDs. He'd hold what looked like a puppet show and lick these DVDs' plastic wrap. It went on for who knows how long. I saw it happen at least 3 times in as many months. Eventually, a manager confronted the parents about it. I never heard any ruckus come of it, and I've not seen them in the store since. I never touched those movies. By the way, it happens at Disneyland all the effing time. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you liked the video, and I'll see you in the next one.